Good evening, Teacher Alma. I am Teacher David, and today I want to talk about the difference between the way I taught listening at the beginning of this course and the way I teach listening now. Okay? So, the first thing that I've noticed is that now my purposes and my objectives are clearer. I think that the theoretical information, the theoretical foundations have helped me to state clearer goals and also to help my students to reach them easily. Now, after stating the importance of the theoretical information, I want to talk about the things we have to consider in order to planning a listening lesson. The first thing we have to consider is the student's profile. That's essential. We need to take into account the age of our students, the number of students we have in a classroom, maybe their interests, also their learning styles, and the difficulties they may have, especially those related to the uniqueness of listening and the components of listening. For example, intonation, speech rate, accent, prosodic features. For example, this is the audio I showed in the first video. And now that I know that we have to consider those characteristics, I would say to my students, okay guys, we are going to listen to this material, but this material has a British accent. It's quite different from American accent, so we have to consider that. Do you know how British speak? British people speak, and maybe they can relate the information. Now, talking about the design of our activities, it is important to address micro skills and the list provided by Brown's Teaching by Principles book. I think that those micro skills are quite important because they help us to state specific goals in each activity. For example, instead of telling my students, okay guys, just listen to the audio, try to write everything you understand, I can say, okay guys, we are going to listen to the audio and we have to infer the mood of the speakers. We are going to listen to the audio and we have to predict what is going to happen or to retain the information in order to rephrase it later. Now it's time to talk about how to design a lesson plan, a listening lesson plan. As Shields stated in her book, Communication in the Modern Language Classroom, we have three different stages: pre, while, and post. Obviously, the first is pre-stage. In the pre-stage, the most important thing is to activate our students' schemata. What is activating a students' schemata? Activating our students' schemata refers to connect or join the information they already have in their cognitive structure to the things we are going to present in the classroom. For example, if I'm going to use an audio related to news reports, maybe I can ask my students, okay guys, do you know what is a news report? What are the elements? Do you know a famous news report? So they process the information they have, and that information help them to relate to the topic of the class. Another important thing is the top-down process. What is a top-down process? A top-down process is the way we use that previous information in order to understand the general idea of the things we are going to learn or we are going to be exposed to. How can we do that? How can we activate the schemata, and how can we use the top-down process, top-down listening process? We can do it by discussing the topic. We can do it by mentioning to our students the elements of the listening material we are going to use. We can do it by maybe asking some questions. There are a lot of ways. Another important thing to state in the pre-stage is that short responses, taking into account the taxonomy of Penny-Ure, are more common. For example, it is not expected that our students begin using larger responses or creative responses in the first stage. Then we have the while stage. What is the while stage? That's the medium part of our lesson plan. In that stage, we can use a lot of activities, but especially those related to bottom-up process. What is a bottom-up process? Is when we emphasize the meaning of the content. Maybe we can use activities like identifying keywords. We can use activities like rephrasing the material we are going to use. Also, questioning is another common activity we can use in the wild stage. Taking into account again the taxonomy of Penny-Ure, it is possible to use activities with larger responses. That's it. Those activities in which our students are compelled to employ more information, not just short utterances. A brief conclusion, I would like to say that something was obvious in this course, and that's it, that the theoretical foundations are essential in our practice. If we don't know the theory, we don't know where are we going, and also we can't set specific goals or purposes in our lesson plans, neither our activities. It was obvious as well that I didn't know how to prepare a lesson plan, and now I feel that I have grown up professionally and that I can tackle any challenge related to listening thanks to this course. Thank you so much.